What is going on, busy bariatrics? Let's talk about the most underrated fat loss tool on the planet, sleep. And before somebody rolls their eyes and says, yeah, Rob, I'll sleep when I'm dead, cool. At this rate, your metabolism might beat you there. Because here's the reality. A lot of bariatric patients are trying to fix exhaustion with caffeine, fix stress with food, and fix poor recovery with more motivation. Meanwhile, their sleep hygiene looks like a hostage negotiation. And sleep matters way more than most people realize. Not just for energy, but for hunger regulation, recovery, muscle growth, hormones, fat loss, blood sugar regulation, mood, impulse control, and honestly, your ability to function like a civilized adult. Because when sleep drops, everything actually gets harder. And there's actually science behind this. Two major hormones involved in hunger and appetite regulation are ghrelin and leptin. Ghrelin is your hunger hormone, and leptin helps signal fullness and satiety. When sleep gets compromised, ghrelin tends to increase while leptin decreases. What does that mean? You actually get hungrier, you crave more hyperpalatable foods, and you feel less satisfied. Suddenly, that sleeve of Oreos starts sounding like emotional support instead of a snack. This is one reason sleep-deprived people often struggle with overeating, cravings, and impulsive food decisions. Your body is literally pushing you towards fast energy because it's exhaustion. And that means a lot after bariatric surgery, where hunger cues, emotional regulation, and food relationships are already being recalibrated. So let's talk about recovery. If you're lifting weights and trying to build muscle after surgery, sleep becomes even more important because recovery doesn't happen during the workout, it actually happens while you're sleeping. Growth hormones release, muscles repair, nervous systems regulate, and hormones regulate as well. That all heavily depends on your sleep quality. And no, laying in bed scrolling TikTok while your brain absorbs conspiracy theories and air fryer recipes until 1 a.m. doesn't really count as recovery. There's also a difference between men and women, and they have slightly different sleep considerations. Most adults generally function somewhere between 7 to 9 hours per night. But women often require slightly more sleep on average due to hormonal fluctuations, stress processing differences, and sleep architecture variations. And for my perimenopausal and menopausal ladies listening, sleep becomes even more important because hormonal shifts during these phases can absolutely wreck sleep quality. You can be experiencing hot flashes, night sweats, cortisol dysregulation, increased wakefulness, and higher stress responses. And here's a brutal cycle. Poor sleep worsens recovery, cravings, mood, and energy, which then makes nutrition adherence and exercise consistency harder. That's why so many women feel like they're doing everything right, but they're still struggling. Recovery matters almost as much as the workouts themselves. Now, one of the best frameworks I've ever learned around sleep came from my coach, Eric Bach. He called it the 10-3-2-1 method. And honestly, if most people followed this consistently, their sleep would improve dramatically. Here's how it works. 10 hours before bed, stop drinking caffeine. And yes, I know some of you are drinking espresso at 6 p.m. in your martinis and then acting shocked your nervous system's hosting a rave at midnight. Caffeine has a very long half-life. That I can drink coffee and still sleep argument, you may fall asleep, but that doesn't mean sleep quality is actually good. Next, 3 hours before bed, you want to stop eating. Digestion affects sleep quality as well. Late night heavy meals, snacking, grazing, and reward eating while watching TV can absolutely interfere with recovery and sleep architecture. 2 hours before bed, you want to stop drinking fluids. Especially for my bariatric patients constantly waking up overnight to pee like exhausted raccoons wandering the hallway. Interrupted sleep is still interrupted sleep. And finally, 1 hour before bed, shut off the blue lights. That means phones, tablets, scrolling, emails, TikTok, doom scrolling your ex's vacation photos while stress eating Quest chips. Blue light's going to suppress melatonin production and tell your brain to stay alert. Your body needs cues that it's time to wind down, and honestly, most people's nighttime routine is basically overstimulate themselves, overeat, have caffeine way too late, and then scroll themselves into anxiety and then wonder why their sleep is sucking. The final part of this, alcohol and THC, because this one actually surprises people, which amazes me. A lot of people think, well, alcohol or THC helps them sleep because it helps them fall asleep faster. And yeah, that's not really the same thing. Alcohol and THC can both interfere with deep sleep and REM sleep quality, which means you may knock yourself out unconscious faster, but your quality of recovery sleep often suffers. People wake up groggier, less recovered, more fatigued, more unrested, and especially with alcohol, sleep fragmentation becomes a huge issue. And after bariatric surgery, alcohol metabolism changes significantly anyway. That's a whole separate conversation. Now, does this mean nobody can ever enjoy a drink or THC again? No. It just means that, you got to be aware of the situation. Because if somebody's constantly exhausted, struggling with recovery, craving food all day, and then feeling emotionally reactive and spinning their wheels, sleep deserves attention first before we just blame motivation. And at Busy Bariatrics, we look at sleep as a foundational behavior because habits, patterns, behaviors drive your outcomes. And honestly, some of you do not need a more aggressive diet. You actually need to be told to go to bed. That's really the uncomfortable truth because the assignment is alignment, and your body cannot recover from chronic chaos forever. So if you want to feel better, recover better, regulate your hunger better, build muscle better, and improve long-term success after bariatric surgery, sleep cannot be optional. It has to be foundational. And if you're trying to figure out all this alone while bouncing between random advice online, that's exactly why we built Busy Bariatrics. Go ahead and follow us for a no BS approach to post-op fitness and nutrition, and as always, keep getting busy.